Hi, this is Dave and welcome to the Table, a series of videos where I review and discuss various board and card games looking at them from a family perspective. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the Amberden affair from Two Penny Games. Now, this is a 3 to 6 player deduction game where each player takes on the role of a footman working at a gathering with some very important dignitaries. Now, one person is going to be taking on the role of the miscreant imposter whose job it is to try to poison those particular guests. Now, everybody's going to be trying to complete their orders at the same time, and if you're not the imposter, you're trying to figure out who it is. All right, let's take a look at this game, how it's played, and I'll come back and I'll give you my thoughts. Okay, let's take a look at the components that come in the Amberden affair. And first we have the main game board here in the center, which is the room where this event is taking place, and it's divided up into 9 spaces with various locations as well as guests that are at the party. We also have these 4 smaller mats that line the main game board that are going to hold the various decks that are in this game, as well as providing information for the rumor mill and the time tracking for the game itself. Next, there's going to be a number of these time tokens here that are going to keep track of the game. There's 10 of them that come in there. And each player will receive an avatar that will represent their character color and will be moved around the board, as well as 3 of these rumor tokens that will be used during the gameplay. Now, there are 3 different types of cards that come in the game. The first one we have is an identity card, and these will be dealt to each player, and on the other side will reveal who you are for the game. But one of you will be the miscreant imposter, who will be up to no good during the game. Next, there are going to be these order cards that will come out, and these are going to be the various items that you're going to have to go and fetch and deliver to the guests at the party. And then finally, there are the items themselves, and these are what you're going to have to go and retrieve and bring them to the guests. Okay, let me get this game set up and I'll show you how to play. At the start of the game, each player is going to take their color that they're going to play. They're going to place their 3 rumor tokens in front of them and then place their starting piece in the center space here where the head butler is. Next, a person is going to be selected to manage the time for this game, so they'll be responsible for keeping track of the time tokens, and one other person is going to be selected to manage the cards for the game. So the first thing they're going to do is they're going to shuffle up all of the order cards and deal one face down to each player, and the rest of the cards are going to be placed in the order deck here in the space allocated alongside the main game board. Next, all of the item cards are going to be separated according to their location type. For example, here this is the door, so all the cards here marked door will start off in that particular location, in that pile. Now, there's going to be 10 cards in the game that have question marks on them, and those cards are going to be shuffled up, and they're going to be dealt 2 to each of the locations and going to be placed there, which would be the coat room, the desk, the bar, the table, and then the door. And finally, each player is going to be dealt an identity, which they're going to keep secret. So a couple of players here have been enjoying the life of service. Here we have Mr. Bridgewick and we have Mr. Westfield. And one player is going to be playing the role of the miscreant imposter, which will be right here. Now, he is also a footman, but he is up to no good, and his main purpose here is not only completing the orders, but also to try to poison the guests that are at this particular function. So those identities are going to be kept secret from all of the other players. Now, let's take a look at the game board here and take a look at the different spaces and who the guests are at this particular function. So we start off in this room, and there's a grid space of 9 spaces, and starting in the upper left-hand corner, we have the general here. He's marked here as green. We have the baron next to him, who's red. Finally, over in the corner, we have the bar, and also the little game boards that line along the side here will also give you insight into what's what there. We have the table over here in this space. Finally, we have the governor's wife down here. She's blue. And we have the door here. This is the coat room. And finally, we have the desk. And then in the center is the head butler space. So those are the spaces that are on the board, and they correspond to the various decks that are around the game here. Now, we have a space that's up in the corner here for the rumor mill, and that's where we will be placing our rumor tokens as we place them. Now, this game is going to be played over a series of rounds, and the game will end in one of two ways. One, if we run out of time here, while these time tokens are placed, or if we cast enough rumors to trigger the end of that particular round. So this is a 3-player setup here, so once 6 rumors are placed there, that particular round will stop and we'll move on to the accusation phase, which I'll get to in a minute. Now, at the start of the game, each player is going to be able to take a number of actions, and I'll get to those in a second. But first we should look at our order cards and see what we're going to be doing here. So this particular order card for the Miscreant Imposter is, please retrieve the Baron's coat from the coat room and take it to the Baron. So if we look here, for ease of identification, we have this red up in the corner, so it's going to tell you what to look for in the deck, as well as each of the item, the location, and who it needs to be delivered to are all underlined, so it's very easy to understand. And this 25 here, this is worth 25 points. So this is going to give us an idea of where we're going to want to start off with. So on our turn we have a few different actions that we can take. We'll be able to take up to 3, and everybody's going to be doing this simultaneously. So I'm just going to show you what it's going to look like from one player, but all of the players are going to be doing the same thing at the same time. So you're going to have to watch to see what all's going on and start paying attention to the various activities that are going on. So the first action that we can do is we can move a player piece one adjacent or diagonal space in the room. So if we start off here, we can move in a space that's adjacent, or we can move diagonally. Now for us, we have this order to retrieve the Baron's coat from the coat room and take it to the Baron. So we're going to probably want to go to the coat room first. So the next thing that we can do is we can take an item for my hand from an item pile, and you can look at the deck to make your selection. So what you do is you just pick up the stack of cards that are there, and we can look through them all. So we'll be able to see what items are here. So if we look, here's the governor's wife's coat, there's a walking stick. Cyanide for the governor's wife. This is one of the poison items that we're going to want to grab and take that to her and try to poison her so we can get points. If we're the Miscreant Imposter, if we're the footman, we want to pay attention to see if it's been picked up or not. Now there's this gold coin here. This is worth 25 points if you're held at the end of the round, which is really, really good, but we're only limited to being able to carry 2 items at one time. And so if we're running around with this, we can only hold 1 other item at a time. So even though it's worth 25 points, it's a risk that you have to be willing to take if you want to run around carrying it, but it is worth 25 points. And then finally we have the Baron's coat here, which we're going to take and put this in her hand, but we're also going to pay attention that the cyanide's there. Now there might be other players that are going to come over and having to go through the same location, and so they're going to be also paying attention to what items are where. The other thing that we can do is we can give an item card from your hand to an item pile. So, for example, here, if another action or turn or whatever, we happen to be at the Baron, we can take this card and we can place it face down in front of him there. And that will complete this order. Now, we don't place this, we don't reveal that we've scored this points or anything like that. We just kind of keep those in front of us. Another action that we can take is to be able to simply look at an item stack, but we have to be in the space where that item stack is. So for example, here I'm at the table, so I can look at the table stack. I can't just go and decide, oh, I'm going to look in the coat room stack, because I have to be in that particular location. So I can just go through and I can look and see what's here. So we've got some food items here, a monocle and a hat. So I'll be able to gather up some information and know that there's no poison here right now. So as the Miscreant Imposter, we know that it's not there, and later on, if we happen to go back to pick something else up, if it's there, somebody moved it. Another thing that we can do is we can get an additional order. So if we're in the middle space here, we can go see the head butler, and for an action we would be able to draw additional order cards here. There's some special cards here. For example, this investigate one says inspect another footman's item cards, or keep this card for 10 points at the end of the round. So we can use this card to, we can play this and choose to look at another player's cards and see what they're holding on to. So if you are not the miscreant imposter, you would be able to figure out maybe somebody is because they're holding it. You can get accused later on. Additional item cards here, we would be able to get these and try to complete these now to score points too. So this is good, especially if you're playing the miscreant imposter. You're trying to grab these items, but you're also trying to grab the poison and deliver that to them too. So this is going to happen. Everybody's going to take all 3 actions. So if you're playing with 6 people, there's going to be 18 different things going on all at one time. So you're going to have to pay attention to what's going on. At the end of that particular round, players can choose to play a rumor token if they want to. And they'd be able to place it in that space over there. And they can spread rumors, kind of gossip or whatever, but you don't want to give away too much information on what you know, because it's going to help other people figure things out as well. But players can do that. And also one of these time tokens is going to be removed from the game board. Okay, and then we'll start the next turn again. And this is going to continue until either we trigger the end of round by having a certain number of rumor tokens played, depending upon the number of players here. For 3 players, it would be 6 rumors there. Or if we get down to only one of these time tokens left, each player will have one last chance to play a rumor token if they want to. And then what we will do is we will move to the accusation phase. And then on the accusation phase, each player is going to secretly write down on a piece of paper who they think the miscreant imposter is. And then it will be revealed. And then we will move on to a scoring phase. And how the scoring phase is going to pan out is that you will receive points for each of your completed orders, however many points they're worth. Any incomplete orders, you're going to lose 10 points. If you happen to be holding on to like that, either this investigate card, or there's one called follow a hunch, if you have them in your hand, you'll get 10 points for each of those. And if you have the gold coin, it would be worth 25 points. Now, if you are playing the miscreant imposter and you're able to successfully poison certain guests, you will receive points for that. So if you get one of the dignitaries, you get 40 points plus all of your orders. If you happen to poison 2 of them, you get 90 points plus all of your completed orders. And if you're able to poison all 3, you'll get 150 points. Now, during the accusation phase, each footman will gain points depending upon the number of rumor tokens played, if they guess correctly. And if they play rumor tokens and they're wrong, they're going to lose points. And then the imposter is also going to receive points as well if he will gain points if there are a number of incorrect accusations, but if there's a number of footmen that peg him, for each of those rumor tokens, he's going to lose points. So the scoring can be a little bit confusing, but once you play through it, it'll be fine. And then what's going to happen is for the next round, you're going to go through, shuffle up all the order cards, deal 1 face down, again, separate the items, and then all the question mark ones, shuffle them up and put them in, deal 2 out so they're not always in the same location. And then you're going to deal out a new identity to each of the players. And this is going to continue for 3 rounds. And at the end of 3 rounds, whoever has the most points is the winner. All right, let's talk about the Amberden affair. And to me, this is like Downton Abbey meets Clue. And which is kind of cool because you've got this really neatly themed game, and you've got this board that's set up like a gathering room in a castle in England. You've got your dignitaries there, you've got the governor's wife, you've got the baron, you've got the general there. And all the while we're working as footmen trying to complete these various orders to keep them happy and make our lives of service look really good. But in the meantime, you've got the imposter working to try to poison them all. And if you're not the imposter, you're working to try and figure out who the imposter is, all the while trying to complete those various orders to score points. So it makes for a really cool, almost like 2 games in one. You're trying to score points by filling these orders, but you're also trying to use your deduction skills to figure out who the imposter is. Now, one of the really cool things about this game is the fact that it has simultaneous gameplay, so everybody's taking their actions all at one time. Now, this is good, but it also has its challenges. It's good because it's going to reduce the amount of downtime that you have, especially playing with 6 players. Sometimes you may want to move to a specific location and look through some cards, and if somebody else is there and they have the cards in their hand, you may have to wait to perform that action. But it's challenging because if you're playing with 6 players, over the course of a turn, you're going to have to pay attention to 18 different actions that are taking place. So it's kind of a lot to take in. So you're going to have to really stay focused on playing this game, and it's going to be very difficult because you're trying to complete orders all at the same time. So you're going to have to stay focused on what's going on. Now, the other challenge is with this game is that because you're going to be so focused on what you're doing, if you're playing with somebody who may not necessarily want to play by the rules, may try to sneak in an extra action or two because there's really no way to govern that. You have one person who is going to be responsible for the time tokens, but you don't have a referee watching to see if each person is taking their actions or not. So if somebody is not playing fairly, it's kind of easy to cheat at this game by taking additional actions. So, but other than that, it's really a cool game. You have a lot of different things that you can do to gather up information, and you only have a certain amount of time, so you're going to have to make every move count. But you can gather that information by, as you're picking up items, you're looking at piles to see what's there. And later on, if you stop by, you can look at that deck and see what's missing. And then also you can stop by and you can inspect the specific guests and see what they have delivered to them, so you can see if the poison's already been there. So if you're kind of following around somebody, if somebody dumps poison at one of the guests, you're going to know that the imposter has been there. But this is going to go back to the challenge of watching to see what everybody else has been doing. So it's not a very easy task to figure that out. So this game is not something that I would play with kids, but looking at this from a family perspective, this is a great game to bring out to play as a couple who is having other couples over for an evening of entertainment. So even if you are in a family, you can have the kids go do something, and maybe have some other friends and their kids come over. The kids can go and do something, and you guys can sit at the table for an hour or so and play the Amberden affair. So it's really kind of a cool thing. You get lots of laughs. You can kind of cast some suspicions and some doubts on one another. So it's really good that way. The game is also going to really put your perception skills to the test, because you have to pay attention to this game. If you're just half playing this game, it's going to be very difficult for you to be successful in either if you're playing as the footman making the proper accusations, or if you're playing the miscreant imposter, to be able to play strategically enough to not be accused as you're poisoning your guests. So definitely a cool game that's worthy of support. And one of the cool things that I love about the designer of this game with Two Penny Games is that they are using a portion of the proceeds for these games when they go into distribution to go to help orphaned children. So it's a worthy cause, that they are undergoing too. So I definitely appreciate that, and I would encourage you to support the Amberden affair and bring this project to life. It's currently on Kickstarter right now. I'll have the link in the video description below, and you can go over and pledge to help Two Penny Games bring the Amberden affair to life. And one other thing with this is, if you are interested in playing this game live, they will be doing a special event at Gen Con 2014. It's not affiliated with Gen Con, so you don't have to have a ticket through them. You can only get a ticket through pledging for support for this to actually go and participate in a live Amberden Affair event. So something that you might want to check out as well. All right, that's it for now, and join me again next time as we take a look at another game and we see how it makes it to the table.